Welcome back to this special edition of Yankee Chronicle. I'm John O'Connor, your host. President McCurdy, let me sort of take us away from Colby-Sawyer campus, right? And we talked a lot about the campus and the students and the community, but let's actually, I want to get United States, right, and higher ed in general. What do you see as the biggest challenges right now and for the next 5-10 years that higher ed faces? Yeah.
Great question. So that is the big question and conversation that's happening across higher education.
And we know higher ed has, the number of schools that have gone out of business. I mean, it's a challenging environment out there.
Yeah, I think what's affecting higher education, and I say this as somebody that's been in higher education for decades, but also worked with other sectors in the economy. Higher education is really facing some of the challenges. They're not unique to higher ed. They're the kind of challenges that our healthcare partners have seen, that our finance sectors have seen. You think about the number of times the name of your bank has changed over the decades. It's pressures from enrollment. It's pressures in competition, not so much with higher ed and other colleges. It's really the competition is with not going to college. We see a lot of students today not seeing the relevance, struggling to find a way to pay. So, we really need to respond to that, those challenges.
Nationally, and I don't know what the numbers are for Colby-Sawyer, but I bet they reflect nationally, men aren't going to school.
That is a major, major factor. And like most small colleges, we are majority women and always have been. Of course, we used to be a women's college. But that change is a great example of the kind of disruptive and innovative change that we need today. Right? Colby-Sawyer going from being a women's institution to co-ed, we need another version of that ourselves, but also higher ed in general needs that kind of innovation. I've had a lot of success in recent years attracting young men to college, and that was my fastest growing area at my last college. And it's again understanding both the perceptions and the realities that our students are facing, high school students as well as working adults, and then adapting the programs to meet the market, not expecting, and higher ed has done this and is guilty of this, I think, pretty heavily, of traditionally not really meeting the market where it is, trying to get the market to conform. The reality is the quality of what we offer is outstanding. Colleges and universities, those outcomes, whether it's you're measuring it by income or people's quality of life or healthcare indicators, you name it, higher ed is a profound way to improve our society. The reality, though, is higher education has been way too slow to adapt to the needs of our students and our prospective students. And so that really is our hyper-focus here, is on, how do we meet the needs of our students? And then when they're here, make that commitment to doing whatever it takes for them to be successful, both in college and beyond. And I think, if higher education takes lessons learned from other sectors of the economy, I think we'll be just fine. If higher ed ignores that, it's at their own peril. So I think that's really key.
So one of the challenges that I've sort of noticed with higher ed is higher ed inflation has been greater than CPI.
Yes.
How do you bend the curve?
Yeah, so I think there's many ways to do it. In my most recent experience, we took a long look at what are the most inflationary items in higher ed, and a good example is textbooks. The price of textbooks has grown faster than tuition, faster than housing, faster than healthcare in the last 30, 40 years. And so, again, this was a solution. My previous college, what we did there was, we really looked at the college textbooks the way you would look at your insurance. We bought in bulk. We negotiated on behalf of our students. We used open resources. We worked with our faculty and our staff to drive the cost of those books down every year rather than up every year. So I think we have to look at, individually, line by line, what is the cost that our students are paying? How can we leverage technology? How can we be more efficient in our operations and more effective at the same time? So I do think, for Colby-Sawyer, we did a tuition reset a few years ago. That was a really important way for us to get into the price range that parents and families could afford, and also to be more transparent about pricing. What is the true cost of college? What is the return going to be on your investment? And if we're asking a student to pay more in tuition or in fees, that we can show that there's that beneficial return that's commensurate with that investment we're asking them to make.
Well, thank you. And unfortunately, we're out of time. I'd like to continue the conversation, but alas, the show's got to end. So thanks so much.
Thank you, John. Appreciate the opportunity.
I'd like to thank Colby-Sawyer College for hosting this Yankee Chronicle special.